minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to all the witnesses for being here today. Mr. Allison, I'll largely be directing my questions to you because I represent Dallas and the northern suburbs of Dallas, and we are one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and we are grappling with the traffic congestion problems that come along with that growth, and our growth is not going anywhere, right? And we also have, I think, a rich history of aviation. We have a number of great aviation companies and transit hubs in our area, and so I'm extremely excited about your pilot project in Dallas. But while the idea of hopping on an air taxi and being able to leave all of that congestion behind sounds great, we obviously have to address some of the hurdles and safety issues that might come up as part of that, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Uber Elevate has plans to begin flight tests in Dallas next year with commercial operations beginning in 2023. In addition to pilots, what types of jobs will these commercial operations bring to my area?
Great, thank you for the question. Yes, we intend to, working in conjunction with our partners who are actually building the vehicles, start demonstration flights to be able to demonstrate to the communities that we're working in, like the Dallas Metroplex, the value, the value proposition essentially of the quietness and kind of helping people to understand where the technology is going, and that's really why we're leaning into doing this as early as we can, and we won't do it any earlier than it makes sense to do it safely. And we think that by moving expeditiously through the certification process, it's possible to get to certified commercial operations by 2023, but obviously that depends on the regulators and the companies that are working with the regulators to kind of move through that process in the right way. We can't start operating things until they're certified, and we won't start operating them until we're sure that they are safe and meet the standards that we think are necessary to operate this type of a network. So there'll be lots of different types of jobs that will be created in this type of a service. Everything from pilots, because we believe that these vehicles will be piloted in the initial iteration of this type of a service. We think in the long arc, when we're thinking 2050, we think that there is this long-term trend toward autonomous operations, especially for smaller vehicles. It makes a lot of sense. But we think that there's every reason to start with pilots in these vehicles to get going quickly and operate as safely as possible in the near term with them. And then there's all the support services. So there's both engineering, there's the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. If we're able to develop the network in the way that we think the demand will push it, from our simulations, there'll be demand for many, many, many aircraft in this type of network over each of the cities in which we operate. And so there's all the corresponding jobs that come with that in terms of the maintenance types of jobs, in terms of just operations. So there'd be some number of operators at each of the skyports in which we operate from that will be very interesting jobs, and these are all very localized jobs too. So it's not like you have to go far from home on a daily basis to work in this type of a network. And so that's our vision for it.
Well, how are you, as part of that, how are you planning to work with the City of Dallas on building the infrastructure necessary to service this service that you're offering to provide, and with other cities as well? Because obviously cities plan long term, and they need to have some kind of ability to plan for this. And if we're going to really integrate this, how is Uber planning to work with cities on that?
Thank you for the question. So we are trying to work pretty tightly coupled with the cities, all the different cities in the Dallas Metroplex that we're talking to, including not just Dallas, but Fort Worth and Frisco and others. And so we are what we're trying to do is make sure that we give them early insight into what we're thinking. But we're also partnering with private companies, real estate companies, on the skyport. One of the nice things about this type of a network, vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, is that the infrastructure requirements are quite small compared to what you think if you wanted to put in a new road network, for example. It's a really interesting characteristic of these types of vehicles and networks that they scale by the nodes, essentially. And so you actually put in one more skyport, and you get connectivity to all the other skyports, which scales much better than roads by the mile from a cost perspective. So we're working with private real estate developers to basically develop in a partnership model these types of skyport infrastructure that we need, and keeping the city apprised of what we're doing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Allison. My time is almost expired. Obviously, I have some safety concerns as well that I might be reaching out to you about, and if you could submit some written testimony on that as well, that'd be great. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Allred.